Hey guys. So I know it has been a while. Honestly, haven't been shooting, or rather, haven't been uploading. I've been shooting, I've actually been editing, but haven't really been liking what I've been shooting. Most of it has to do with the fact that I hadn't really settled in the space. So you can see new space here, just moved. Been trying to, build it up to the point where I would feel somewhat comfortable and somewhat like the material of shooting in space. This point, I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy as to where it's at. So, first video in the space. So today we're actually going to be looking at a product that I've been waiting for a while, or waiting to drop anyway. And just being the kind of gamer that I am, PlayStation fan over here. Watch out! And been with PlayStation since PS1, and just been with them until in PS4 when they released a product for the back buttons, and also a lot of competitors released back buttons as well. We got a lot of strike pack controllers, so just very much in that space. Got the PS5 right there. And after getting the PS5, was thinking to myself what the next best thing for back buttons would be. And suddenly, the hype started coming up about the DualSense Edge controller that was coming out from PlayStation, because PlayStation hasn't really ever made a controller with back buttons. For instance, with the Xbox, we had the Xbox Elite controller, and everybody loved that. Gotta be honest, I tried it on myself. I loved the controller. It felt sturdy. The quality of the controller was there. The weight was there. It was like evenly distributed. You could swap out the D-pad. You could swap out some of the pieces on the controller for what you wanted. It felt like a very solid controller. So it was very pleasing, especially on my side, a lot of my friends as well, when we realized that PlayStation was actually coming out with a competitor. And today, we're going to be talking about that competitor. I was able to get my hands on this controller, and it's called the DualSense Edge. Now, the hype about this controller has really been going ahead, talking about, it coming against the Xbox Elite, the SCUF controllers, and just all of this hype has been coming out. But today we're going to actually see if that hype is actually real. I've been using the DualSense Edge now for about a month and a half, I guess. And today we'll be talking about it, if it's worth getting, and if it truly is a worthy competitor for all these other controllers. Now, one of the big, controllers that we're able to use on PS5, aside from, our regular DualSenses, or one of the bigger competitors for back buttons, are SCUF controllers, especially the SCUF Reflex Pro. And the SCUF Reflex Pro is basically like a PS5 controller, but it has back buttons, in this case 4, and it has not that much modularity to it. Now, looking at the DualSense Edge when unboxing this bad boy, it actually came out of the box pretty neat. It's very much straightforward, plug and play. And I think that's one of the bigger leading points of this, is that everything is basically on that PlayStation UI, that user interface. When you get this DualSense Edge, you plug it into your PS5 and immediately opens up the menu for the DualSense Edge. And it gives you in-game controls for how to actually change the button layout, to assign any of the buttons that you want. The controller itself is pretty modular. When you try to, detach some of the analogs or remove the faceplate that covers it, you start to realize that this is very much of much higher quality than the regular DualSense controllers that we have for the PS5. Now, one of the big things about this controller are the ergonomics. Coming from a regular DualSense controller on the PS5 and switching to the DualSense Edge, first things first, you notice that the weight on this thing is quite hefty, or it's quite hefty at least in comparison to the regular DualSense controllers, which makes you feel like it's made with at least better components, it's made with more long-lasting, more durable components. That's the first idea you get from that weight. How does it make you feel when you hold it? Now, most of the time when I use this controller, I'm using it to play games such as Apex Legends or COD. Comment below if you want to get my gamer tag. But most of the time, that's what I play, and that's kind of like why I do enjoy these back buttons. Been playing a lot of Overwatch lately as well, but that's pretty much why I enjoy these back buttons. whenever I'm able to, assign my buttons to this controller. And unlike typically with your regular controller where you have to go to some specific menu or setting, it's very much, I guess, not a straightforward process. With the DualSense Edge, you have a lot of shortcuts that you can, put in the controller to make it easy to get the mapping screen, make it easy for you to make changes in-game, honestly. The modularity of this also makes it very nice too. It comes with, I guess, 6 different analog sticks. And just with that modularity, honestly, it gives you a variety of options. Previously, I'm the kind of person that likes my right stick being a little bit taller than my left stick, just because it makes that the aiming, at least for me, a little better. And I know everybody has their own preferences. Now, when looking at the controller, I guess that's kind of like what I'm saying. The first thing that gets used to ergonomics is pretty much the exact same thing. Only difference is that weight and the fact that you now have back buttons. So it pretty much feels the same. I didn't really feel a different, a huge difference when switching to this. Now, I guess unlike the competitors, SCUF controller, or if you were ever trying to use an Xbox Elite controller on the PS5, one of the biggest differences is that this is just completely integrated. The DualSense Edge, you plug and play, immediately it's plugged in, it pops up with this UI, shows you exactly what it is that you can map. It shows you the differences of what it is you can change. You can change the sensitivities, you can change how it actually reacts to the input that you put in. You can make a raw, you can basically switch out and also switch out components. But the biggest thing is you can basically map anything you want to the controller if it is mappable. I think one of the bigger things also is being able to have those adaptive triggers. Putting it on the max, max resistance is basically equal to a button. So you don't have that long trigger time when you're actually pressing your R2 anymore. Now, in no way would I consider myself a regular gamer, because even before I got the DualSense, or before I got my PS5, I was one of those people that got a strike pack and actually attached it to my PS4 controller. And the thing about it is, I enjoyed the back buttons then, but I hated the lag. So one of the things I did was I actually remapped my buttons, and I was one of the people that used settings like bumper jumper tactical flipped, because I wanted to have my L1 on the smallest triggers possible. I wanted to be able to fire with my L1 because it was buttons, no adaptive triggers then. And I also wanted to be able to have my jumping buttons just right next to my fingers. And back buttons just brings back that, it just refreshes that, ease for me, just being able to have those buttons available once again, and just being able to remap my buttons to how they used to be without having to feel like, I have to have some specific or special setting. These controllers or these products are aimed at a specific demographic. If you are just a casual gamer that, typically doesn't use, or doesn't play any, I guess, intense games, I'd probably say that these controllers might not be for you, and maybe just, stick to the regular stuff. Now, one of the big things that I noticed with controllers in general, like when I was using my PS4 controllers, I would think I ran through about 4 controllers with my PS4, and a lot of them had to do with, getting stick drift after a couple of months. I started hearing that the reason you get stick drift is because there's some dirt in your analog stick. So what did I start doing? I started dismantling my controllers, cleaning them out, hoping that I'll make it last longer. But even after doing that a couple of times, after a while, the controller still has that stick drift, and it doesn't work anymore. Now with the DualSense controllers, it doesn't seem as bad as I had with the PS4 controllers. The DualSense controller I'm referring to are the PS5 ones now. They don't seem as bad, they seem a little bit more durable. But to be honest with you, I've heard from a couple of friends as well that they have had the exact same issues, the stick drift, the dirt in the controller, and same solutions, talking about, dismantling them and cleaning them. But realistically, I feel like this doesn't really help the situation of, keeping your controller, the exact same controller that you have, and just, sticking to it, because these controllers are not the most durable, especially when you game on a daily, or if you game at least frequently. So coming to the DualSense Edge, kind of like, why am I talking about that? DualSense Edge is a modular controller. Modular, what do I mean? You can basically dismantle this controller into pieces. Now, looking towards the stick drift part of it, I feel like this controller does solve that problem because of its modularity, because that it can actually be dismantled. You can basically just straight up take out the analog sticks and switch them out with other analog sticks. And I feel like that just solves a huge problem that a lot of gamers had. Instead of you having to buy a $60 controller multiple times during the year because, you've had issues in the past with stick drift, or you're currently having issues with stick drift, all you have to do now is just buy some new analog sticks. And it's interesting that I say that, but even just looking at the premise, the analog sticks being modular, you can just buy new analog sticks. And it just makes that experience a lot more better for the user in comparison to always having to switch out the controller, especially considering that the DualSense Edge is not a cheap controller. Now, interesting thing about the price on the DualSense Edge is that it's actually priced roughly around 190 bucks, based on wherever it is you're checking for prices and based on wherever it is you're trying to get it from. Now, in comparison to the, competitors, Xbox Elite is priced at 180 bucks. Honestly, it is a little old at this point, so I don't think that price comparison would be the best. But we have the SCUF controller, that's the SCUF Reflex Pro, and that is actually priced at about $220, actually even a little bit more expensive than the DualSense Edge. Interesting thing though is with the SCUF controller you do get 2 extra buttons. So yes, you may not have that ease or uniqueness when it comes to the integration, but the DualSense Edge situation, you only get 2 back buttons. You don't actually get 4. In the SCUF controller you get 4, and I believe that in the Xbox Elite you get 4 as well. So not really 100% sure as to why the DualSense Edge chose to only do 2 back buttons, but it at least gives you some versatility in comparison to just using the regular DualSense. Now, aside from the fact that you only get 2 back buttons and all the other competitors give you 4, I think another thing that typically a lot of people consider is battery life. Now, this is a very, very big question, especially because a lot of people game at stretches. Some people can game for up to 8-hour stretches. Some people can game for up to 6-hour stretches. And I do believe that you'd like to have a controller that you can use to game for these periods without having to recharge or, have to take a break. I think that one big thing that I'd probably say is in comparison to battery life, me personally, on the stretches that I've played with this controller, I haven't had to charge it. Most of the time I go 2-3 days without having to charge the controller. When actually trying to test out how long the battery life actually lasted at a stretch, I believe I was able to get it off, or I was able to use it for up to anywhere between 8 to 9 hours. Anything beyond that, I would probably say you have to stop and recharge. Now, in comparison to the competitors, on one hand, we do have the SCUF Pro Reflex lasting anywhere from about 6 hours to 8 hours. And we also have the, Xbox Elite lasting for up to 40 hours, which is, in my mind, just absurd. But, I feel like the Xbox controller is, honestly, in that part, it takes the cake when it comes to battery life. Now, for the DualSense Edge, Sony they do claim to have up to 12 to 15 hours of use, but I'm pretty sure it was very light use. I think another nice thing is that because it does come with this case, it's a lot easier to keep your product protected and also recharge it while it's being protected. I think that if there was an improvement to the battery life, this would also make the product a much better product in comparison. Now, to all of my users or to all of my gamers that have not used back buttons before, I would say straight up that there is a learning curve. Now, the learning curve is just generally with back buttons. I feel like personally, because I had used back buttons in the PS4, for me, switching to back buttons in this controller is not much of a learning curve for me. And so we come down to it. Like I was saying before, at the end of the day, this controller is for a particular demographic. It's not for everybody. That's just straight out the gates. It's pretty obvious who this controller is made for. This controller is made for people that, don't want the stress of having to have a different menu or plug in their controller into a separate way or have to figure out how to use the controller separately outside of the ecosystem, outside of that PlayStation ecosystem, and just want to be able to, plug in the controller and play immediately. And immediately they have that. And also, I would probably say that this controller is for people that do not game on or in 12-hour stretches, because like I said, this is not going to last up to 12 hours. So it really just depends on what it is that you want. Do you want something that's going to improve your game, a controller that's going to last for a very long time, to be honest, in my opinion, and give you that modularity of being able to switch out the analog sticks, being able to switch out the tips, being able to, just have that modularity, map these buttons while everything stays integrated. If that's basically what you're looking for, and you don't particularly mind between 2 back buttons or 4 back buttons, then I'd probably say that this controller is for you. So it just depends on what it is that's most important to you. Is it integration? Is it that you want 4 back buttons? Depending on you. So I'd probably say that at the end of the day, for me, this controller kind of solves the problem that I had. Previously, I hated having to, have an external way of using my controller. So having everything now on my PS5, everything in that system makes it a lot easier for me. Personally, I don't really have much of a preference between 4 back buttons and 2, so it does solve that problem as well. And overall, like I mentioned, I typically don't game for 12-hour stretches or 8-hour stretches. So once I'm done playing my games, most of the time the controllers actually last with me from anywhere to 2 to 3 days before I actually need to charge it again. But like I said, it depends on whoever it is that's playing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you did like it, make sure to leave a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. And from now on, I'm gonna try and make sure that I'm as consistent as possible. So I'll be dropping some more videos. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I do hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.